Hey nerds, Sage is here. So, before we begin, I just wanted to say, you may be wondering what this is about. Well, after that whole announcement about Ike winning the free unit vote thing, a lot of you were in the comments going, no, it should be this, or no, it should be that, and there were several comments in there that were like, how do I vote? What should I vote for? What's a good character that would be beneficial to everyone? And I don't really know how to choose, and there was a lot of that. You know, between the back and forth and everything. So, I've compiled a list of the top 5 characters that, well, tend to get mentioned quite a bit. And I'm assuming that this is what people are voting for. So this is the top 5 list of, welcome to Watch Mojo at this point. But no, basically, it's just going to be me talking about these units and, what are the pros and cons of voting for them. And you can decide yourself. Just so we're clear, this does not mean I'm telling you to vote for any of these units. You vote for who you want. That's the fun of it. But still, nonetheless, I figured I would just provide this a little bit and talk about it. Also, for those who are wondering, Bride Cordelia and Summer Corrin were like the 6th and 7th units that were mentioned a lot. Big mention to Summer Corrin because I am fairly sure she will appear soon, because at least in a legendary banner, because, well, I mean, I really doubt they'd skip the chance to use her. They've brought back, Spring Camilla. I'm pretty sure they'll bring back our good old Summer Corrin, so I honestly expect it next legendary banner. So let's just talk about what is here. So, compiled the top 5, and we're going to talk about their pros, their cons, and what exactly it means in the long run when it comes to voting for these characters, and if you should vote for them, or if you want to vote for them, which one you should. Okay, so, first up, Winter Tharja. Winter Tharja is probably one of the most accessible Armor Emblem units that is not Armor Emblem, not in Armor Emblem. If you don't want to use Armor Emblem, or you don't happen to have a team of other armored units, Winter Tharja is probably the easiest, because she has great neutral stats, which means that she, even if you don't have a boon or a bane, she can be very, very good at what she does. She has very high defenses, very high resistance. Her speed is terrible, but that doesn't matter because she also has really powerful abilities that go along with that. Mostly close counter, which means she doesn't have to worry about, being attacked and not being able to fight back. And 2, Vengeful Fighter, which is quick riposte on steroids, and it will allow her to lower her special skill countdown even faster. She also has Red Tome Valor, which is cool if you really like that. It just helps her gain SP. So, always a nice thing to have. From there, of course, she is a seasonal unit, and she's likely not to show up in a legendary banner just yet, because, well, right now, when it comes to legendary banners, they should be heading into... They just did the fall banner, which was the performance arts banner a little bit with Azura, and we're still just about there. They're probably going to do the next summer version and maybe bring back another performance arts, or maybe they'll move into Halloween. It's really hard to tell, but they are not to Tharja's level just yet, so for those who are wondering, that's still a bit off. The cons that are, of course, are pretty obvious is that she's an armored unit, and therefore she has less movement, and could be a bit annoying to move this unless you happen to have someone who has Armor March with her. The other con I can think of is that maybe she'll show up a little bit later in a legendary banner, but that's like saying, in 6 months, who knows what could happen. Simply put, Tharja is a pretty good choice for your vote if you want a free unit. She's very strong, her weapon's great, her ability pool is great, they're all great. Seriously, Vengeful Fighter is pretty cool. Alright, so moving on, we have Hector. Yeah, Hector is the one unit that everyone else keeps going on and on and on about. So, let's talk about some of the pros, the cons, okay? So, first up, he's still a pretty strong unit, even now as he is now. I know a lot of people are like, what? Why is Hector still seen as so strong? His weapon is just a great combination of his passive as well. His passives, of course, being the 2 that are very much exclusive to him still, that of course being Distant Counter, which works on so many characters, not just him. I mean, nowadays we have characters who run Distant Counter like crazy. Hector is the lifeblood of a lot of builds, obviously. 2, he's the only source of goat armor, which, I guess, if you really want that. And the other thing is that he has not been a focus in a little while, which is kind of a big deal when you want to at least try and get a character like Hector, because, well, it's kind of hard to get a character when they're not a focus. You have a very, very low chance of that actually happening. Just saying. And of course, same cons as our good friend Tharja. You know, still very low movement speed, but, you know, that's just how it is. And then also is still technically summonable, even without being a focus. If you get lucky, you could still get yourself a Hector right now. That's going to take a hell of a lot of luck, but it's still a possibility. So we can't negate that possibility. We just kind of have to throw in the mention that he hasn't been a focus in a long time. And, you know, he's probably a character that everyone would use in any fashion. That's one thing that I see him. He's like the Swiss, you know, pocket knife, Swiss Army knife of characters. If you pull him out and you don't have him, you get to keep him and use him. And if you happen to already have him and want to use his distant counter, you can easily put that on another character, goat armor, whatever. All right, from there, let's just let's talk about some other possibilities. Oh boy, I'm just looking over this real quick. I'm sorry, I have my notes here. Anyways, moving on. And next up is Dancer Azura, or Performance Arts Azura, I mean. Pros, it's pretty basic stuff. She's one of the best dancers or singers in the entire game right now. That mostly extends from her, you know, her weapon, which allows a massive buff to every stat. Once she uses dance on this character, this goes through panic ploys and things like that. And of course, also, technically, she was already in a legendary banner, meaning she will not appear again for quite some time. So yeah, that's a pretty big option, but the cons are quite high as well for her, and that is outside of singing and, you know, having all those nice buffing abilities, she doesn't really have much for people who already have her, because technically a lot of her skills just aren't really that great when it comes to inheriting. Drive Res is alright, but Triangle Adept is easily a lot more accessible elsewhere, and, you know, that's just about it. I mean, I really love Performance Azura, and I use her every day, so I can definitely see the appeal for voting for her. Just saying. Myself, when it comes to characters like this, I really think Azura is probably still one of the best, but that's just me. Moving on, we have Ira, who people constantly keep telling me, what about Ira? Well, Ira is one of the top sword units in the game. Bar none. It's just how it is. And she comes already with all of the skills she basically needs to be powerful. You can easily rearrange them as well. I mean, you can give her, instead of Desperate, give her something like Wrath, which will make her even stronger. She doesn't necessarily need that, but she does come already pre-equipped with some really great skills, and you really don't have to do much skill inheritance, if any, if you don't feel like it, at all. And of course, since she is a character that I'm sure a lot of people, you know, when they get her, they may not want to keep her or whatever, she does have some useful skills, Swift Sparrow and things like that, that can be inherited as well. But I really think that, you know, the cons, of course, listed here, is that a lot of her skills she can, you know, she has been given can come from other characters. So that's kind of something that's a little bit of a minus on my book. But also, she is still summonable, even without a focus, which, you know, same thing as Hector. While they are not a focus, you might still get an Ira, you might still get a Hector. It's just really based on your luck. Thumbs up. All right, moving on, we finally have our good old Big Daddy Ike. Now, a lot of people have been gone, why are people voting for him? Well, let's just say, he's a powerful sword unit with a distant counter weapon, which is something that is, I guess, not becoming too uncommon. You know, it's still there, but he has good A and C passive skills. You know, Warding Breath is something new, of course. It does help out. It, of course, is just, you know, what is it? God dang it. Steady Breath. Oof. Thinking Steady Breath, but res instead, and just has that same sort of skill, which will just reduce special, you know, abilities. And then, of course, His C passive is Defense Tactic, which is a rare skill in that it will help out mixed teams by buffing them substantially, at least when it comes to defense. And of course, if he is chosen as the unit, he should also come with his Blessing, which will offer a buff to another unit. And that is something that is pretty substantial because his buff, at least for Brave Ike, when the Earth weather is in effect, it will grant another unit a plus attack as long as he is with them. So that's a pretty nice one. It also gives him, I also forgot to mention this, but he also naturally has just boosted SP because he is, well, a legendary unit. He's probably the strongest legendary unit as well. And of course, the other pro is that he's not he's not summonable normally. So you have to wait for a legendary banner, which is kind of a pro if you want to vote for him. That means you don't have to risk waiting. But the other thing is that he's also has a con in that sense, in that he's kind of predictable. Legendary banners tend to pop up at the end of the month every month right now. So as a legendary hero, he will be reappearing every month for the foreseeable future, at least until they decide to cycle him out. So out of all of those options that you have seen here, I don't know which one you guys are going to go for, or which ones you are deciding to go for, but there are a lot of options and a lot of strong ones, or you could just go with the character that you love dearly. It's really up to you guys, but I just wanted to provide a little bit of a glimpse into these characters and give you a better idea, without really just trying to throw a huge smorgasbord of information at you and just going, pick this one. Pick the one you think is best suited for you, and then move on from there. That's about it, guys. I'm gonna head out for tonight, and I will see you all on the flip side. Thanks for watching.